Welcome back. Tuesday session of Sunrise. Now, there have so far been few platforms on which developing country scholars, practitioners, and students have been able to engage and deepen their understanding of those key context-specific factors that could enable or inhibit a meaningful and sustainable developmental progress. Now, the need for such a platform has become even greater with the launch of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, that provide factors with the kind of targets that they, in partnership, need to work towards. Now, the 2016 conference, with focus on the identification of various key contextual issues and so expand the common knowledge base from which strategic partnerships could be forged and collaborative efforts enhanced. I do have with me Christian Chileshe, who is a researcher and developmental practitioner. They will be having the International Conference on Research in Development. Christian, it's good to have you on the show this morning. Let's dive straight into it. We've heard, obviously, this word being used. It's been thrown around on different platforms. We are researching on this. They researched on that. The outcome of the research was A, B, C, D. What is research?
Thank you for that question. I think it's important to start from there. Research is basically an inquiry into an issue. It is effort applied towards understanding something. I think we can put it as simple as that. And in many cases, it is because of the need to address an issue, so that in most cases, research should be followed up by some action that translates the knowledge into change within the environment.
All right. Zambia being a developing country, obviously, we've heard the term sustainable development being used several times. What is sustainable development?
I guess another buzzword that is used quite often. First of all, development can be understood as a state that is better than what is now. Okay, or you could also look at it as a process of moving from where we are to where we would like to be, and better off. So sustainable development, therefore, is at two levels. First of all, it is being able to achieve progress without moving backwards into what we thought was not ideal. But also, I think it's important to raise this other dimension. Sustainable development includes maintaining the momentum of progress. So those are two different things. If we move forward, we must not move backwards. So we must sustain the gains. But secondly, when we begin to move forward, we must sustain the pace of progress so that we can sustain this forward momentum and we're constantly moving forward. So it is both sustaining the state of things, but also sustaining the movement forward.
All right. You've shared with us what research and obviously sustainable development is. How does research link into sustainable development, the relationship between these two?
And I think this is a link that is well understood in most developed countries, but not as much in my view, Zambia and a lot of other developing countries. We have this disconnect between what is considered to be research, so there's a lot of knowledge being generated, and then you have on the other end what we consider to be development practice, okay? So there are all sorts of efforts being made to change things, and ideally, development practice should be informed by research. How do we know what we are doing is going to work? Should be an outcome of research. But similarly, research, the research agenda should be informed by what we know are development issues, so that at the end of the day, the direction of research should be to respond to issues that have emerged from a development perspective so that they can be insight for meaningful progress.
What are some of the practical examples of the relevance of research to socio-economic development in developing countries like Zambia?
Great. Well, there are examples of where research has worked well and has helped move things forward. I think I could easily think of areas such as health, where as we begin to understand phenomena such as HIV/AIDS, cholera, and all these other very real issues, we're understanding from a research perspective, we begin to implement and say, okay, this is how HIV is transmitted, this is how it can be avoided, this is how cholera can be managed, and in a very real and practical way, and it's affecting lives. So that's maybe one example where things may be moving forward. Another example is in agriculture, where as we understand the climatic changes that are taking place, there is research into better varieties of particular crops. And from that perspective, new varieties are being introduced. But what I can put to you is that for a country like Zambia, there are a lot of gaps where research could be made to work better for development. I can cite examples in the area of MSME development. I mean, we've been talking about this, I think, for almost 30 years, that a good part of it I have been a practitioner myself. And we seem to be going in circles, and we're not asking certain critical questions around why. Even when there is some access to finance, even when there is training for prospective entrepreneurs, we don't seem to be moving as quickly as we should.
All right, for the benefit of time, very quickly, we believe this country has produced a lot of scholars, researchers in various fields, including those that the RID 2016 conference will be covering. Why are they not conducting research to provide solutions to many of the challenges we are facing as a developing country? Very quickly.
Okay. Well, putting it this way, there is need for platforms that will strengthen the linkage between research and development. What has been happening for the most part is that research has been carried out in isolation, and because of that, not as much of it has been applied. Even when there's good research that has happened, it is not available to those that need to put it to good use. So the Research in Development Conference that is taking place next week from Wednesday to Friday, from the 2nd to the 4th, at Mika Convention Center, is intended to actually begin to address some of those issues. We're not just expecting researchers and practitioners in the strict sense of development. We're expecting MSME players, because a lot of the research that has been undertaken is effectively market research that needs to be utilized. Some of the knowledge needs to be put into policy development. So we're expecting, and we know that...
Who's invited to this conference?
Basically, every curious mind that seeks to understand how to move forward is invited. This thing has been in the newspaper and on radio. It's been publicized. We're expecting that students will be there. We're expecting policymakers. We're expecting entrepreneurs that need to understand the issues affecting progress in their respective sectors. And of course, we're hoping to have development practitioners and researchers. Papers will be presented not only by researchers, but we have space for practitioners to engage and raise issues that they think are important for them from a practice perspective.
All right, Christian Chileshe is a researcher and development practitioner. Thank you, Christian, for coming through.
You're welcome.
Let's take a short break. We'll be back with more right here on the Tuesday session of Sunrise Breakfast.